Do you want to build a snowman?
Hey guys, today we are building a snowman in Illustrator. Hope you're excited. So what I need you to do for today is to open up the 2018 version of Adobe Illustrator right there in your Z links, and also go ahead and go to ME2 folder in your V drive, and you're going to open up the files that you need. If your graphic design, go here. If your principles of art, go here. And you're looking for, under Illustrator Lessons, you're looking for Lesson 2. There are two options, End and Start. Go ahead and open both of them up. And this is what they look like. So this is what we're starting with today. And this is what he's going to end up with. Isn't he cute? And when we're done, you guys are going to actually build your own snowman and your own design separate from this. So today you're just playing around with how to group stuff, how to align it, how to bring items over, those kind of things. And then when we're done with this lesson, you're going to start from scratch and build your own snowman. Sound like fun? Hope so. All right, let's get started. All right, whenever you get started in Illustrator, it's a good idea to go ahead and reset your essentials. So you want to go to Window and you want to go to Workspace, and it's already clicked for Essentials, and then you're going to go down here to Reset Essentials. What that does is it just shifts everything and puts it back into place. It's kind of like a default starting spot. That way, if someone else, or if you used it and changed it for a project, you're starting a new project, you can shift everything back the way it is. It's also good because as I'm following along in the book, and if you're reading the book instead of just listening to me, then everything will go along really well. All right, first thing we're going to do is work with the selection tool. So if you know up here, this is the selection tool, and this is the direct selection tool. Notice the letters next to them. That is your shortcut. So let's say I was on, well, notice that the selection tool is V. So let's say I was on the rectangle tool, but all of a sudden I wanted to go to the selection tool. I could just hit V on my keyboard and it takes it right there. So learning those shortcuts just saves you a little bit of time here and there. It's not a big deal if you don't know them. All right, with the selection tool, we're going to start, by the way, on the one that says Start, not End. So click on that one, and I want you guys to go ahead and save this in your student folder under your name. So let's go to File, Save As, and you could call it Lesson 2 if you want to. Lesson 2 is fine, and put your name on it, and then save it inside your file. So you go to V drive, ME2, find your class. I'll go to Graphic Design and student folders, and then find your name and save it in there. I think I have one in here. Do I? Maybe not. I'll just save it randomly. Okay, there we go. Hit OK when that comes up and you're good to go. So our first tool we're going to talk about is the selection tool. Selection tool is, if you've used Photoshop before, it's like the move tool. In this case, if you haven't used Photoshop, it's the tool that you're going to use that moves things around. So the first thing I want to show you is how to select something. So I'm going to zoom in. To zoom in, you can use the magnifying glass. You can go to View and you can say Zoom In. Or notice this shortcut, Control Plus. I like Control Plus. That's what I use all the time. So I'm going to do Control Plus to zoom in. So that's 3 different ways you can zoom in right there. You can do View, you can do the Zoom tool, which is that little magnifying glass, or you can do Control Plus, which is the shortcut. All right, so to select something, you just click it, okay? If you were to select 2 things at the same time, you can, what I just did was take my selection tool and click and drag. And see that little rectangle with the dots? That's called a marquee. Drag that around it, and it's now selected both of them. So if it's got both of them selected, they will both move at the same time. They're not grouped together though, they're still independent, but because I selected them at the same time, they'll move together. Let's say I want to go back and I don't want to have both of them selected. Just click somewhere in the space away from it, and I can go back to moving one at a time. All right, makes sense? I hope so. If you're trying to do one shape and you're afraid you're going to get more than one shape, you can actually click and drag like right on it and it'll select it. As long as the selection tool touches just a little part, like look, I'll show you. If I just do this little section right there, it grabs it. So all it has to do is touch a teeny little bit of it and it's got it. All All right, the first thing that we're going to do is to move the eyeballs over, but I want to talk to you guys a little bit about what things are called. So in Illustrator, if you select something, this is called a path. The line that you see, this blue line, is called a path. All right, now all these little white points are called anchor points. An anchor point is a point that can be then moved or shifted and it changes the path. So in order to change an anchor point, you have to use the direct select tool. So let's say I choose the direct select tool and I come over here, and you see that as I move up to that little square, it says anchor. I can actually then individually, let me click on it, I can then individually, maybe it's not letting me, shift and change the shape of things. I'm going to Control Z to undo because I don't actually want that to be done. I just wanted to show you guys what the difference is between the two. So a path is the line that goes all the way around it. The anchor points are these individual parts, and you can see that they'll change. If you see this little circle, that's called a widget. A widget is the corner. A widget allows you to change the curve of something. Again, I'm going to undo that. All right, so let's get back to our selection tool. I'm going to zoom out. I could use the magnifying glass to zoom out. I could do View, Zoom Out, or I could do what I like, Control minus. For those of you that used Photoshop before, you know that's the same in Photoshop as it is in Illustrator. All right, so what I want to do is go ahead and grab these eyeballs from our snowman, and I want to bring it over. So I am going to select one of the eyes, and I'm going to take it and drag it over, and I want to place it right inside the snowman's eye. All right, now it disappeared and we can't see it. That's weird. Why did it do that? If I hit Control Z, it moves back again, but it's gone when I move it over. Why is that? Well, for those of my students that have done Photoshop before, you know that this is because there's something called layers. Up here, if you click on layers, these are the different levels that an artwork will go to. Okay, so anything on the bottom, like see the blue rectangle? That is at the very bottom of the layers. That means that it's going to be at the very bottom. Think of it like if you're cutting pieces of paper. If this is a blue piece of paper and you cut out a shape and you glued it down to the paper, and then you cut out a shape for the hat and you glued that down, everything you glue on top of the bottom is going to be above it, is going to show in front of it. It's the same thing with layers. So whatever's on the bottom is what's going to be covered up by everything else. So if you want to find where something is, like you can see that that little blue part of the eye is still selected, you can click the magnifying glass down here in the layers, and there you go, it takes you to it. But if you look above it, you'll notice that it is below these the whites of the eye, and because the whites of the eye are above it, we're not able to see it. So what we're going to do is this. All right, we are going to take this and we're going to go to Object, Arrange, Bring to Front. It's a little tricky sometimes, they disappear on you. Arrange, go slow, bring to front. And so that brings it. Look what happened in the layers. You'll notice that it then brought the white of the eye below the blue circle. If you're following along in the book, I'm actually skipping around a little bit. This is the last step that they do, but it doesn't matter. You know, either way, it'll get you to this point. We're going to do the same thing with this one over here. So I'm going to take it, I'm going to drag it inside, and then I'm going to go. By the way, do you see these little pink, they're actually magenta colored lines? Those are called smart guides, and what they do is they help you line things up. It's great to have, but sometimes it can be a little annoying. Notice that I had dragged my blue of the eyeball over, and now I'm trying to click it and it's only selecting the white of the eye, which can be kind of annoying. And you're trying to find it, but the layers are mixed around. So if you go to View and you click Outline, it takes away all the colors, and then you just see the outlines of the objects that have been drawn. So then it allows you to click and select what you want a little bit easier. I'm going to go back to the color, so if I go to View and I say Preview on CPU, it brings the colors back again, and now I have this blue selected. So I'm going to go to, again, Object, Arrange, Bring to Front. And now I have both of those in front, and you can look in the layers palette and see that they've moved the eyeballs. It's actually all the way up top. It doesn't matter, as long as it's above that, we're good to go. Okay, so now we have our eyes inside the head of our snowman, and there's some other things we need to do. Obviously, he's missing his body, and we're also have part of the scarf that's going to go right here, but it's crooked, and so there's some things that we need to do to work with it in order to get it right. So let's talk for a second about how to turn these smart guides on and off, just to show you. So I love smart guides. They're great, but sometimes when you're working, they can get in your way. And all you have to do is click View, and then go down to Smart Guides and check it, and then you'll notice that they disappeared. Where did they go? It's so lonely. I like them on, so I'm going to switch them back on, but that's how you would turn them on and off. They're actually really good for helping you to align things. It's just if they ever get in your way, you can turn them off right there. All right, so next we're going to take our direct select tool, and we're going to work a little bit with the scarf and this area over here. So let's say that we want to zoom in and focus on just this artboard. We have two artboards in here, so you can tell that because there's artboard 1, the snowman, and then if I switch over here, here's artboard 2 for the body parts. Remember, you can go to Window and you can go to Artboards, and it shows you the artboards, and they've been good. They've actually labeled this ahead of time for the lesson as snowman and pieces. Normally it'll say like artboard 1, artboard 2, and you can always double click here and name it whatever you want if you want to change the name of it. We don't need to change the name of it, so I'm just going to close it out. It's fine. But if I wanted to view, let's say I select the pieces and I want to view just that. You can change the view, remember, by going to View, Fit All in Window allows you to see everything, or View, Fit Artboard in Window will zoom into the specific artboard that you're working with. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We are going to take these pieces of the scarf and we're going to line them up so that they fit with each other, and then we're going to have them so that we can move them around and get them with the rest of the scarf. All right, so here we go. All right, we're going to go ahead and zoom into this. So let's click our zoom tool and let's hover in this area so that we can zoom in right to where we just have. I'm going to use the hand tool to slide me over, okay, so that we just have the shapes that we want to work on here. Again, I'm going to go back to the hand tool and just slide over. All right, there we go. Let's go to direct select. Remember, direct select allows you to select the individual anchor points on something, not just the whole shape. So if I click here, you'll see that there are several anchor points. There's also widgets, which means we can change the curve of it. But let's select this top anchor point. All right, let's go ahead, and now that it's selected, notice it's blue where the rest of them are still white. That means this is the one that we're going to change if we move. Now let's go ahead and just play around with it for a minute. There we go. You can see that you can change that whole shape. Is that going to work for our scarf? Not really, but it's good to know that you can do that. And let's revert to the last saved way that we've done this file. If we go to File up here and you can say Revert, it takes you all the way back to the last time that we saved. So I don't want to do that just because I don't want to lose what we've already done with the eyeballs. So I'm going to hit Cancel. But to go back a couple steps, I'm going to do Control Z. You could also do that by, is it undo? I know it's undo, but I'm not sure. There it is. Under Edit, Undo Move, you could click that, or the shortcut is Control Z. So hold down Control and hold down Z and click it till you get back to where you were before. In Illustrator, if you're my students that have worked with Photoshop before, you know that you had the history panel and you would click through the history panel. In Illustrator, there is no history panel. You just keep hitting Control Z to go all the way back to the step that you want to go back to. All right, so now that we have that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to work with just aligning this scarf and getting it ready, okay? So what I want you guys to do is to switch to the selection tool, and that's shortcut V. And what we're going to do is to align some objects next to each other. So I want to show you how you can align things based off of what they have similar to each other. So in this case, there's red objects and then there's green objects. Let's say I clicked on this. I could go to Select and you could say Same, and you could say Fill Color. And notice that it selects everything with that fill color. I'm going to click over here to get off of it, to deselect it. You could also go do Control D to deselect. It's the same as Photoshop. I'm going to go to select. First you have to click what you want to select. Let's say I click this again. I'm going to go to select, same, stroke color. It selects all of this because they have the same stroke color. Now I'm going to zoom out for a second because anything else that has the same stroke color would be selected as well. Now this has the same stroke as that, but it's not the same weight, so it doesn't select them. So now that I have all these selected, I have the option that I could then group them together or do different things. You can individually select by clicking and holding down the Shift key, and it'll allow you to add to whatever it is that you're going to select. Or if they're close by like this is, I clicked off of it, you can just drag a marquee around it and it selects all of them together. All right, everybody with me so far? I hope so. If not, just let me. All right, now we're going to do this. Let's go to, we have them selected, so we're going to go to select and we're going to do save selection. And let's call this scarf. Okay. Now we have this selection called scarf. So anytime I want to select just these objects, I can go to select and I can say scarf. And it automatically selects it, which is great. For this, we only have a couple pieces in this file. It's not a big deal. But if you're working with something like, remember the postcard that we did in lesson 1, it had so many different pieces to it that it might be helpful if you say select letters or select background or whatever it might be. So now that we have our scarf selected and we've got all of these selected, we can go ahead and start to align them. So there's something that's called, we want to go to up here to window, and we're going to do align. All right, now this will bring up, maybe, where did it go? Hang on a second, guys. Okay, got it. Sorry, I am now using the 2018 version where just a week ago I was using 2015, so they've moved it. So you're going to go to the properties panel right here. And align is now down here in the properties panel. All right, if you click those 3 little dots, you'll see that it gives you a lot more options underneath that. You can click them to kind of move that back over if you want to. All right, so align is awesome because it allows you to, what it sounds like, align things depending on whatever you want it to be. So we still have all our items selected. We're going to go and we want to do the vertical align bottom button. So if you hover, it tells you that's horizontal. We want vertical. That's vertical align top. That's vertical align center. We want the vertical align button bottom all the way to the right. Click it, and it's now aligned them all based off of their bottoms, so that all their bottoms are together. Okay, so now we have them all aligned on the bottom, and what I want to do is undo that. So just go to Control Z to undo, or you could have done, what is it? Which one of these has undo on the top of it? I always forget, so I have to go back and look. Undo save selection, which was right there. Okay, so I want to show you a different way that you can align things. We're going to go ahead and go to select scarf. All right, and in the align panel right here, we're going to click those 3 little dots, and we're going to tell it to align to a key object. So you can align to the selection, which is what we have selected right now, is all those little pieces. You can align to the artboard, which is the white board behind it, or you can say we're going to align to one particular object. So in this case, Illustrator automatically selected this one right here, but we don't want that one. So we're going to say no, 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 Illustrator. We want this one. There we go. I clicked off of it and clicked right here. All right, we have this one selected. We still need the rest of these to go with it, but this is the object. So I'm going to select it right here. That's the queen bee. The rest of them are going to align to that. So let's play around with this and say, okay, we want the align top, vertical top. So what Illustrator is saying right now is that it's going to align everything to that key object in blue, and we're telling it to align to the top of that one. So if we click this, they all now fall in line with that one. This is a pretty easy one because all the shapes were the same height. So you could have done a line bottom or you could have done a line top, but this just gives you some options. All right, so next thing that I want to do is to adjust the width in between these. Okay, so we want to adjust the alignment. If you click those three little dots so that we have more options, this is distribute spacing between them. So I'm going to click off for a second and so that nothing is selected, and then I'm going to come back and select it, and I want to show you something. All right, so when I do that and I go down to distribute spacing, notice I say I want to distribute horizontal spacing, right? I click it and it moves it. But if I want to align to one particular key selection, I can come over here, select key object, it's selected, and now it allows me to say how much space in between going off of that key object. So I want to say 0 points, and I'm going to do distribute horizontal. So that's telling it that there's no space in between those objects, and it puts them together, which is perfect for our scarf. Just to show you, if I was to change it to like 2 points in between and click it, it would shift it out, but I want 0 points in between so that they're nice and snug together. Good. I'm going to click off here. You can also do select, deselect, and it will deselect everything. Okay, I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to do Control minus to zoom out. And now I have my scarf, which I can bring over. I'm going to leave it here for a minute, and I want to work on the body. If you notice, the body is a little bit crooked. Sorry, Mr. Snowman, you have a crooked body. So we need to fix that a little bit before we put his bottom half on him. So what I want you to do is to switch to the select tool, which you should, on the direct select tool, which is right here. Remember, the shortcut is A. If you hover, it tells you what tool it is. So there it is. And what we're going to do is to select a particular anchor point on here. I want this bottom anchor point. So I just selected it. Notice this little line that comes out. I'm going to show you what it does. It's called a handle. It allows you to change it. I don't want that to stick, so I'm going to do Control Z to undo it. But this little anchor point, I'm going to click it right here. This is the one we want. And then we're going to click the vertical align top button in order to get things to line up just the way we want it to be. So let's go over here to the Properties panel. Okay guys, we are going to select with a direct select tool. We're going to select this bottom corner. There we go, to select that anchor point. I'm going to hold down the shift key and also select the right hand anchor point. These two are now selected, and it brings up the align panel. Now we want them to be able to be aligned so that they're flat on the bottom, so we're going to click the vertical align top button. So these are horizontal, we're going to shift over to vertical, and there's the vertical align top. Click it, and it now evens out your bottom part of your snowman. Okay, so now that we've done that, we can go ahead and start moving some pieces over. Okay, so we have the scarf done, we have the bottom done, his eyeballs are in, he is pretty close to being where we want him to be. Okay, so we are next going to grab our selection tool. Up here, shortcut is V if you want to do that. And we want to select the white half circle, the one that we just switched, and we're going to do this. So we're going to go to Edit and Cut. And now it disappeared. Oh no, he doesn't have a bottom. And we're going to go to the other artboard where the snowman is, so switch right there, and we're going to go to Edit, and we're going to go to Paste. And now it has pasted it on there. So even though you hit cut, which is delete, because it was selected, it automatically made like a copy of it, just waiting for you to be able to tell it where to paste it on. So now we have it, but it's on top of his head. That will not do, obviously, he can't see through that. So what we're going to do is to align it, but we're going to use the align key again, align panel again, but we want to align it to in a particular way. So let's go to Window and select Align, and we are going to go, hang on 1 minute. Okay, I paused this because I couldn't find my Align panel, and I just noticed it's over here hiding. I was wondering why I couldn't see it from time to time, and it was ducked down hiding. So if you don't see yours, look around your screen and just see. I'm gonna grab this and just kind of dock it right in here. And there's my align. Okay, so it might look a little different for you. You can actually grab parts of these and bring them out, or you can bring them back. All right, so now that I gotta go back here and select the bottom half. Hopefully you guys didn't have any trouble finding your panel. What we're gonna do is we're going to align this to the artboard, and that's gonna allow us to get it right in the right spot. Okay, in this case, the rest of the snowman's already in the center of the artboard, but we need to make sure that the bottom half aligns right. So we're gonna click the more option or show options right here, and we're gonna go to align to, and we wanna do align to artboard. So we've got it selected, so everything we do is going to align to the blue background, not the square, but really it's the white underneath the blue, because the blue is just a square drawn to be the background. That probably confused the bejeebers out of you. But what I mean is it's going to align to the center of this space. So we've got it selected to align to artboard, and now what we're going to do is to say horizontal align center, and then we're going to say vertical align center. Okay, and so now it's gotten it directly aligned to the artboard. We're gonna go ahead and just use your down arrow key and shift. I'm not actually touching it with the mouse, I'm just using my down arrow key on the keyboard, and I have gotten him aligned center, but we still can't see his scarf. And that's because if you notice, if I go to the layers panel and I click on the magnifying glass, you can see that his body is at the very top, but the scarf that we can't see, all those pieces are down here. So what we want to do is to be able to get the scarf on top. I'm going to right click this, and I'm going to say arrange, and I'm going to say send to back. Well, that's too far back because it's now underneath the rectangle that we drew, that was drawn for the background. So all you have to do is you can click and drag it up like this and put that on top of the blue. Hopefully that makes sense to you guys. I now want to go ahead and bring over the scarf. So let's go to View, Fit All in Window. It shows us both of these. I'm going to exit out of the align so I can see. And let's select the scarf. Now, notice that if I select this and I go to move it, it only moves that one piece, and that's because it's not grouped together. So I'm going to do Control Z and undo. And what I want to do is go to Select Scarf, because we had that done, and let's group it. So go to Object and Group, or Control G. Control G is a shortcut for that. Now that it's grouped, you can move that entire piece around. So we're just going to grab it and we're going to move it in front so that he looks super cute. Let's go back over here. Do we have it aligned up right? I think we do. Let's go to File, Save. We're going to save this little guy, and you're going to turn it into me so that I can see you did a snowman. All right, guys, that's it. I hope that you had a good time, that you understand it, and of course I have to end with a little see, time to play.
I never see you anymore. Come out the door.
All right, that's done. Okay, hope you enjoyed a little bit of the lesson. Let me know what you had questions.